This is a clip of a game not too many people are familiar with, and it's called Until Dawn. Now I have a question. Watching this clip, what's more impressive? The graphic or the what comes after? I say what comes after because it's the idea that a person wants to find out the particular event and the conclusion to a character or story. Okay, maybe that's too vague and people will argue that they both play a part. But think about it like this. How come movie adaptation to famous books almost never work? Do you see where I'm going with this? Kind of? Okay, a better example. Think of this as the Hunger Games. So the year is 2012 and we get our own adaptation of a book comes to life in the Hunger Games. Okay, scratch that. Basically when the movie finally came out, fans couldn't decide and ended up dividing between whether the movie introduced a different way of telling the story or whether the book was far more superior than the blockbuster franchise, which is surprising. Consider a movie makes you see the story, where a book allows you to make your own story in your head based on what you're imagining. And surprisingly enough, we like the story in our head way better. So what am I trying to say here? Well, video games. The world of video game is changing. Hardwares are actually getting better and games that's taken the next step to simulate reality. This past week while playing Cyberpunk, I came across a problem I'm pretty sure most of you have figured out yourself. And no, I'm not talking about the potential and the hype that it had that disappointed a lot of players around the world. Cyberpunk 2077 has gotten its fair share of criticism. And although I played the game myself, it's without a doubt that one of the things that's glaringly obvious is how beautiful and complex the graphics are with vibrant colors. Different areas of the map makes you feel the diversity in the cyberpunk economy. And before you get taken out the immersive world with a bug or something unordinary, you realize how impressive the graphics really is. Overall, that didn't keep me playing for long because do not criticize me on this opinion, but I simply didn't enjoy the story.
Fisk.
We have improved technologically, and a strong emphasis on that growth of technological advancements has influenced the entertainment industries in ways predecessor products would not be able to compete. Not to knock on any previous masterpieces, but games nowadays compared to games of last gen are without a doubt more graphically pleasing, except if you're Saints Row.
Does it chip in?
I've told you before, the idols are trying to build a post-capitalist society where money is not a concept.
Okay. But it's without a doubt that we can see that movies have improved visually, games have improved graphically, and music has also received enhancements sonically. To be more specific, let's take a deep dive in the world of gaming and look at our more recent titles. Last of Us Part 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dying Light 2, and most recently, Horizon Forbidden West have arguably stood strong with their competition graphically. The games come out and they're expected to look good, but wait, would you consider any of those games in your top favorites or simply a waste of potential? Which is a question that often confuses hardcore and casual gamers on what criteria a game has to meet to be well in fact considered a good game.
A 10! A 10! A fucking 10!
Gentlemen?
You know what time it is.
Too much focus on graphics sometimes confuses us on is the game actually good when it's all said and done. In my opinion, good graphics don't always mean it's a good game. The idea of a game is also to be fun. Not every game that comes out has to be real life related to be considered fun. Sometimes the wacky games are the games we end up having more fun than the AAA titles that promise nothing but god tier like realism. Now don't get me wrong, I give the animators and graphic designers a lot of credit. I'm no animator and understands the countless hours it takes for these games to work, and they're usually overworked and underpaid and met with unrealistic deadlines. It's a job not many in that field gets credit for unless things go horribly wrong. One thing I would say is relying too much on the capability of graphics and not overlying efforts on telling a good story is what makes or break a game, which is often the case that games nowadays fails the job at telling a good story. I want to take you back to Mafia 3 for example. The theme and the tone of the game was enough to skyrocket the sales. Sure, it had decent gameplay mechanics, amazing cutscenes, but the gameplay fell flat gameplay wise. Without proper mechanics, the game became a repetitive mess with no replay value. The core game had no innovation. The gameplay in a nutshell: travel to a location, shoot the same player models, rinse and repeat until you get enough money in a specific turf to get an attempt at beating the boss that controls that turf. Another game that had this problem was Far Cry 5. While I enjoyed my time with the game, it suffered the same busy work model. Although they did tackle this problem a different way, where at certain progress levels they would send stronger enemies to try and stop you, but the same problem was just too obvious. The game was beautiful graphically but offered no new innovative gameplay mechanic or fell at an attempt at telling a convincing story, where a big part of what plagued the game was due to the fact that we had a mute protagonist.
Me okay? Oh, you're like the strong silent type, huh? Yes, I am.
I do think graphics is important in games and adds to the experience to make it more enjoyable, but a well-paced story, good gameplay mechanics has much more replayability values to make the game worthwhile and not just another job. Graphics are at a point because although there's always going to be room for improvement, they are already visually impressive enough to tell whatever the story is. No amount of innovation graphics is going to be enough if a game struggles to tell a compelling story. But this was a video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Fun fact, this video actually took me 3 months to make due to the fact that I was being so hard on myself and just felt like it wasn't enough. Even though I'm uploading it, I felt like there's so much more I could have said, but like I realized 3-4 weeks turned into 3-4 months, so I didn't want to just delay it any longer. So this is the video, and I'll be making more videos in the future, and I hope you enjoy it. I know I said this already, but subscribe, like, and comment because it really helps me with the algorithm, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe. Bye.